Wow, that's such a cool idea to build. Today we will team up with JJ to build our best building. Let's learn how to build a rich villa.
Mikey has already started building. I hope he doesn't have time to mess up. I'm going to run and build our rich villa.
I start building our rich villa on the water, beginning with a single room that will become the first part of the larger structure. I use quartz blocks together with lime glass, which gives the building a bright and expensive-looking appearance from the very beginning. Quartz works especially well for this kind of project because its clean white surface is strongly associated with modern luxury architecture. Large villas often use bright stone, concrete, or other polished materials to create a feeling of openness and wealth, while glass is used to make the building feel connected to its surroundings. Since our villa is being built directly on the water, the lime glass becomes even more important because it allows the environment around the house to remain part of the design. Instead of creating a solid wall that blocks the view, the glass makes the water and open space around the villa feel like part of the property. The combination of a strong white material and large areas of colored glass gives the first room a very modern character. I also make the room slightly rounded, instead of giving it a completely rectangular shape. Curved architecture can make a building feel more elegant because the eye moves smoothly along the surface instead of stopping at sharp corners. In real luxury architecture, curved walls are often used to create a stronger visual identity and to make buildings stand out from the more common rectangular forms. There is also a practical advantage to using curves near water. Rounded surfaces can create better views in several directions, allowing more of the surrounding landscape to become visible. Even though this is Minecraft, the same design principle works visually. The curved room immediately feels more sophisticated than a simple box, and the glass can emphasize that shape by reflecting the water and sky around it. I'm starting with only one room, but its unusual form already establishes the architectural language that the rest of our rich villa can follow. I continue expanding the villa from the first rounded room and begin moving toward its main section. The important thing here is that the first room is no longer treated as an isolated space. It becomes one part of a larger composition, so the new sections have to connect naturally with the shape and materials that are already established. I keep using quartz and lime glass because repeating the same materials helps the entire building feel like one architectural project rather than several unrelated rooms. In real architecture, consistency is especially important in large villas because different wings and rooms can have different functions while still sharing the same visual language. A designer might change the shape or size of individual spaces, but repeating materials, colors, and proportions creates unity. This also makes the building easier to understand from the outside. When someone looks at a large structure, their eyes can recognize which parts belong together because similar elements appear throughout the facade. The main section also gives the villa a stronger sense of hierarchy. In architecture, not every part of a building has to have the same visual importance. A smaller room can act as an extension, while a larger central section becomes the main focus of the composition. This principle is often used in luxury homes, where the central part of the building is designed to feel more impressive than secondary spaces. Because our villa is floating on water, the arrangement of these sections also affects how the whole structure interacts with the surrounding landscape. Instead of spreading the building randomly across the platform, I am creating a clear progression from the smaller rounded room toward the main part of the villa. That gives the construction a more intentional silhouette and leaves room for the other sections to connect to it later. Even at this stage, the goal is not simply to make the villa bigger. I am building a structure where every new part has a relationship with the parts that came before it.
I join the construction by adding a viewing platform above the level Mikey has already built. I make the platform from oak planks and place oak fences around its edges, leaving the middle completely open because another part of the villa will eventually occupy that space. This creates an interesting example of designing a building in stages. Instead of filling every available area immediately, I leave a planned opening where a future section can connect with the platform. In real architecture, this kind of planning is important because buildings are often organized around spaces that need to remain accessible for later construction, circulation, or additional functions. The open center also prevents the platform from feeling like a random wooden floor placed on top of the villa. It already has a purpose within the larger composition. The oak gives this level a warmer appearance than the white quartz below, creating material contrast while still keeping the structure visually simple. The platform also changes the vertical composition of the villa. Until this point, most of the construction has been developing horizontally across the water, but now the building starts growing upward as well. Creating different levels is a useful architectural technique because it allows one building to contain several experiences without requiring everything to occupy the same plane. A higher viewing platform can provide a different perspective over the surrounding environment, which is especially valuable for a villa located on water. The oak fences around the edge also make the boundary of the platform easy to understand, while keeping the space visually open. This is a good example of how a railing can provide a sense of safety without turning an outdoor area into an enclosed room. By leaving the central section open for the future villa, I am also making sure that this elevated space can become integrated into the final design, rather than simply sitting on top of it as a separate structure. I move down to the lower level and begin extending the villa on the right side. I build a room that follows the same general idea as the rounded room Mikey created at the front. Keeping the shape related to an existing section is important because repetition can make a large building feel unified. If every room had a completely different geometry, the villa could quickly become visually chaotic. Instead, I use the existing room as a reference and create another section that feels like it belongs to the same architectural system. This is similar to how architects develop a modular design, where several spaces share proportions or structural principles while still serving different positions within the building. The repeated shape also creates rhythm along the facade, which is particularly useful for a large villa because the eye can recognize a pattern instead of seeing one enormous, confusing structure. The new room also helps the villa become wider without losing its overall visual balance. Large buildings often need some form of repetition to keep their proportions under control. A single huge central volume can look heavy, while several connected sections can break that mass into smaller visual units. This technique is common in residential architecture, where wings, terraces, and individual rooms are arranged around a larger central area. Here, the repeated rooms create a similar effect. Each section has its own space, but together they form one continuous villa. Because the building is floating above the water, this repetition also creates a stronger horizontal rhythm that makes the structure look deliberately planned rather than randomly expanded. I continue using the same principle and add another room beside the previous one. Repeating the architectural pattern makes the construction process much more efficient because once the basic proportions have been established, the same design logic can be applied again. This is another reason modular architecture is so useful in real construction. Standardized room shapes and components can reduce complexity, make construction faster, and help different sections fit together more predictably. In Minecraft, copying a design manually still takes work, but the underlying principle remains the same. I am not inventing a completely new structure every time I add a room. Instead, I am developing a recognizable pattern that can be repeated across the villa. The result is a facade that feels more coherent because similar sections appear at regular intervals. I finish this side by adding one more room using the same approach, giving the lower level a series of related spaces. Now the villa has a much stronger sense of scale because the original front section has been extended into a larger composition. Repeated rooms can also make a building feel more luxurious because they suggest that the structure contains many separate spaces rather than just one large interior. At the same time, the repetition prevents the design from becoming overly complicated. The rooms may share a similar architectural language, but their position within the larger villa gives the overall building a more complex silhouette. This is an important balance in architecture. Repetition creates order, while the arrangement of repeated elements creates variety. By using the same room concept several times, I make the villa feel like one carefully planned property instead of a collection of unrelated structures.
I continue working on the central part of the villa. keeping quartz and lime glass as the main materials so this section still feels connected to everything I have already built. Since this is the central part, I wanted to have more visual importance than the smaller rooms around it. One way to create that difference is through height. Instead of keeping the entire villa at one level, I raise the central structure higher, which immediately makes it stand out from the surrounding sections. Changes in height are one of the simplest ways to create hierarchy in architecture. A taller central volume naturally becomes a focal point because the eye is drawn toward the part of the building that rises above everything else. This also helps the villa avoid looking like one long, flat structure spread across the water. I raised the top of the central section several blocks above the viewing platform that JJ built. I like this difference because it gives every level of the villa its own role, instead of making them compete for the same amount of space. The viewing platform sits lower and can act as an open transitional area, while the taller central section becomes the architectural centerpiece. In real buildings, different heights are often used to separate functions and create a more dynamic silhouette. A building does not have to have the same roofline everywhere to feel unified. In fact, varying the heights can make a large structure look much more carefully designed. Here, the quartz keeps the different levels visually connected, while the change in elevation gives the villa a more complex and luxurious appearance. I continue using lime glass throughout the central section, especially where I want the structure to feel open rather than completely enclosed. The contrast becomes more noticeable as the building gets taller because the glass prevents the central volume from becoming a huge solid tower of quartz. Instead, the transparent sections break up the walls and make the structure feel lighter. Glass is also useful for a villa because it visually connects the interior with the environment outside. Since our entire build is surrounded by water, the open surfaces can make the scenery part of the architecture. Reflections from the water can also make a glass building feel more visually connected to its surroundings, creating the impression that the villa and the landscape belong to the same composition. The increased height also changes the way the villa's silhouette looks from a distance. The lower rooms create a broad base, while the central section rises above them and gives the building a clear focal point. This is similar to the way architects often design large buildings with a stronger central volume and lower sections around it. It creates a visual rhythm between horizontal and vertical elements. The lower parts make the villa feel wide and stable, while the taller center gives it a sense of vertical movement. I think this is especially important for a build on water because there is no natural terrain around the villa to provide that variation. The architecture itself has to create the sense of depth, height, and scale that the landscape would normally provide. Once the central section reaches the height I want, I start working on its roof. I keep quartz and glass as the main materials here as well, so the roof does not look like a completely separate element placed on top of the building. A roof can have a huge effect on the character of a structure because it defines the final line of the building against the sky. I want ours to continue the modern luxury style rather than making the villa look like a traditional house. The combination of quartz and glass also allows the roof to feel lighter than a completely solid construction. Instead of creating one heavy block above the central section, I can use transparent areas to break up the shape and let more light into the upper part of the villa. The roof also completes the hierarchy I have been building into the central section. The smaller lower rooms, the open viewing platform, the taller central volume, and finally the roof all create different levels that can be read separately while still belonging to the same villa. I keep the same two main materials throughout the construction because repetition is what ties these different levels together. Quartz provides the consistent solid structure, while lime glass adds openness and visual contrast. This balance between repetition and variation is important in architectural design. If every section were identical, the villa would feel repetitive. But if every section used completely different materials and shapes, it would lose its identity. By changing the height and form while keeping the material palette consistent, I can make the rich villa feel both unified and complex. I also add a structural-looking element inside the central part of the villa, a column made from quartz fences with a spiral staircase of quartz slabs wrapping around it. I like this design because the staircase does more than simply connect different levels. Its curved path creates movement inside a space that is otherwise built from straight, geometric Minecraft blocks. A spiral staircase naturally draws the eye upward, so it can make a tall central room feel even more connected to the levels above it. The quartz fence in the middle also gives the staircase a clear visual axis, while the gaps between the fence pieces keep the center from becoming a heavy, solid pillar. This is a useful architectural principle. Vertical circulation can become part of the visual design instead of being treated as something that has to be hidden. The staircase also repeats the curved idea from the earlier rounded sections of the villa, creating a subtle connection between the exterior form and the interior. Even though the materials are simple, the combination of a vertical center and a spiral path makes the central space feel much more elaborate and gives the villa an unmistakable focal point.
I start working on the interior of one of the lower rooms by turning it into a dedicated enchanting area. I place bookshelves around an enchanting table because their relationship has an actual gameplay function, not just a decorative one. In Minecraft, bookshelves placed around the enchanting table can increase the available enchantment level, so their arrangement is part of the mechanics of the room. That makes this a good example of functional interior design. The objects are not placed randomly simply to fill an empty space. Their presence tells us what the room is used for, while also improving what the player can do inside it. Bookshelves are also a natural visual choice for this purpose because they immediately communicate the idea of knowledge and magic. Instead of making the room look like a generic bedroom or storage area, I give it a specific identity based on the activity that takes place there. I also like using this room as one of the villa's more specialized spaces because a large luxury build benefits from having different areas with different purposes. When every room has the same function, the interior can feel repetitive even if the exterior is impressive. Here, the enchanting table becomes the focal point, while the bookshelves provide a visual frame around it and make the room feel dedicated to that activity. There is also an interesting connection between the architecture and Minecraft's own game system. In a normal building, shelves of books would mainly be associated with learning or storage, but in Minecraft, they can directly influence the enchanting system. I give another room a completely different purpose by filling it with the equipment a player would need for everyday survival. I place a bed, crafting table, flower pot, furnace, chest, an armor stand with armor, a brewing stand, and a water-filled cauldron. Instead of treating these objects as random decorations, I use them to create a compact, functional space where several different Minecraft activities can happen. The bed provides a place to sleep and set a spawn point. The crafting table handles basic item creation, and the furnace is used for processing materials. I turn another room into a more private bedroom by using a double bed as its main element and arranging several smaller objects around it. I add a nightstand and a lamp, then place a dressing table and an armchair to give the room several distinct functions instead of making the bed the only feature. This is important in interior design because a comfortable bedroom is not defined by one piece of furniture alone. Different objects create different zones within the same room, even when there are no physical walls separating them. I also add an aquarium, which gives the room a completely different visual element from the furniture around it. I use black and lime wool carpets across the floor of the central part of the first level, creating a visual connection between the interior and the villa's existing color palette. The black works naturally with the darker accents that can be used throughout a large structure, while the lime tone echoes the lime glass used extensively in the exterior. This gives the floor more than just a decorative purpose. Repeating a color in different parts of a building is a simple way to create visual continuity because the viewer subconsciously connects elements that share the same color even when they are made from completely different materials. Wool also has a different visual character from quartz and glass, so the carpet breaks up the hard, smooth appearance of those materials and makes the central area feel less sterile. The placement in the main central space is especially important because this is one of the most visually significant areas of the villa. A strong floor pattern can help define that space as a central gathering area while also tying the surrounding rooms together through color. Instead of introducing another unrelated palette, I use black and lime to reinforce the design choices that are already present in the architecture. I continue the same approach on the upper floor by adding carpets there as well, giving the different levels of the villa a more consistent interior style. Repeating a flooring element across separate floors is a simple way to make a large building feel like one connected space instead of a collection of unrelated rooms. This becomes especially useful in a villa with several different levels because each floor already has its own height and function. Great, our rich villa is ready.
Wow, JJ, you and I have done a lot of work and built an incredibly beautiful villa.
I totally agree with you, Mikey. Well, I think it's time for us to finish.
Yes, JJ, you're right.
Subscribe and like, bye-bye.
Wow, building on time? I've been wanting to try to build something for speed for a long time. Let's learn how to build Spongebob house.
Round 1.
Today I am building the Spongebob house, which is one of the most famous cartoon houses ever. Everyone knows that Spongebob lives in a pineapple under the sea, and I am going to recreate that iconic home right here. I am using orange sandstone blocks because they have that perfect tropical fruit color that pineapples are known for. To form the shape of the pineapple, I am using fences and stairs along with the regular sandstone blocks. Creating a rounded organic shape like a pineapple is challenging in a game made entirely of square blocks. Fences add thin vertical lines that can break up the blocky appearance and add more detail to the surface. I am trying to make the house wider in the middle and narrower at the top and bottom, just like a real pineapple shape. Now I need to build the leafy green top of the pineapple because every pineapple has those spiky leaves coming out of the crown. I am using lime wool for this part. In front of my pineapple house, I am creating a pathway so visitors can walk up to the door easily. I am using gravel blocks for this path, but I am making it interrupted with gaps rather than solid. This broken pathway style looks more natural and beachy, like stones placed randomly in the sand. Phew, I barely made it on time. Great, my Spongebob house is ready.
What? Hello?
Hey, Banana Kid, look, I built it in just 1 minute. Do you like?
Yay!
Really? I am very glad that you like my makeshift construction. Maybe then you'll try to build Spongebob house yourself in just 10 minutes?
Ta-da!
They ran to the place. This is where your building will be. Are you ready?
Yay!
Then go ahead.
Round 2.
Banana Kid is starting his Spongebob house build now, and he is beginning with a pathway in front of the house. He is using stone blocks for this path, which will create a solid walkway leading to the pineapple entrance. Starting with the pathway is actually smart, because it helps establish where the front of the house will be and how big the footprint needs to be. Now he is starting to build the actual house using orange concrete as the main material, which is a great choice for pineapple color. Orange concrete has that smooth, bright finish that looks very clean and cartoon-like. He is also using light gray concrete around the entrance and windows, which adds nice contrast and makes those features stand out more clearly. Banana Kid is building the front side of the pineapple shape, and it is looking really good already. He is carefully placing blocks to create that rounded fruit form that everyone recognizes from the cartoon. In the window openings, he is placing light blue glass blocks, which let light through while suggesting the underwater environment. The combination of bright orange walls, light gray trim, and blue glass creates a cheerful color scheme that matches the happy feeling of the Spongebob cartoon. I have to admit, his pineapple is looking more polished than mine because the concrete has a smoother texture than my sandstone. Now Banana Kid is working on the back of his pineapple house, filling in all the remaining shape with orange concrete blocks. Building the back is important because you want your house to look good from all angles, not just the front. Many builders forget about the back and sides, but Banana Kid is being thorough and making sure every part of his pineapple is complete. He is closing up all the gaps and making the curved shape continuous all the way around. The orange concrete creates a solid, vibrant surface that really pops against the sky. On the right side of the house, Banana Kid is constructing a chimney using cobblestone fences and concrete blocks. The cobblestone fences create a thin pipe-like structure that looks like a proper chimney stack. Chimneys add vertical interest to buildings and make them look more like real homes. Even though we are building an underwater pineapple, having a chimney adds to the cartoon charm and humor of the design. On top of the house, he is building the pineapple leaves using lime wool just like I did. To go. Banana Kid, hurry up! The bright green color stands out beautifully against the orange body, creating that classic pineapple look that everyone knows. Around the entire house, Banana Kid is now changing the ground from regular dirt to sand blocks. This is a really important detail because Spongebob lives at the bottom of the ocean where the ground would be sandy. The yellow sand color also complements the orange pineapple nicely and creates that tropical underwater beach feeling. In front of the house, he is placing several flower pots which add cute decorative touches to the entrance area. There are only a few minutes left. Banana seems to be finishing up already. Flower pots suggest that someone takes care of this home and adds personality to the build. On the stone pathway, he is placing green wool carpets in 3 spots, which add small pops of color and suggest grass or seaweed growing in the cracks. These little details show that Banana Kid really cares about making his build look finished and thoughtful.
Where did everyone run off to? Hey guys, what's all that noise?
Banana Kid and I are building Spongebob house on time, JJ. Who did it better?
Oh, both of your buildings look great, but I think it's up to the audience to decide who did the best.
Yes, JJ, you're right. Maybe then you have comments on the construction of Banana Kid?
Yes, there are a couple of comments. You made the shape of your house look like a pineapple, but you didn't give it to the texture. It turned out to be too smooth.
I totally agree with you, JJ. Maybe then you can build your Spongebob house in 15 minutes?
Okay, then let's run to the place.
JJ, good luck to you. We'll wait in the house.
But?
Thanks, guys. Then I'm starting. Round 3. I am excited to build the Spongebob house today because it combines architectural challenge with beloved cartoon nostalgia. The Pineapple House is an iconic design that requires careful attention to shape, color, and detail to get right. I am starting with the entrance structure using gray and light gray concrete to create a proper door frame. The entrance is one of the most important parts of any house because it is the first thing visitors see and interact with. Using 2 shades of gray creates subtle depth and dimension that makes the doorway look more substantial and real. Gray tones also provide nice contrast against the bright orange pineapple body that will surround it. Now, I am building the front face of my pineapple using orange concrete as the main material with brown concrete for diagonal stripe patterns. Real pineapples have those distinctive diagonal lines crossing their surface where the individual fruit sections meet. By adding brown stripes to my orange walls, I am recreating that realistic pineapple texture that makes the fruit so recognizable. The diagonal pattern requires careful block placement because you need to count blocks precisely to keep the lines straight and evenly spaced. This attention to detail separates a good Spongebob house from a great one. I still have a lot of time left. I definitely have to do everything in time. I am installing a window on the front using light gray concrete for the frame and light blue glass panes for the glass itself. Windows are essential for any house because they let in light and allow residents to see outside. The light gray frame matches the entrance doorway I built earlier, which creates visual consistency across the front facade. Light blue glass suggests the underwater setting while still being transparent enough to function as a proper window. I am finishing up the front of the pineapple now, making sure all the blocks are placed correctly and the shape looks rounded and organic. On the back of my pineapple, I am building curved extensions on each side using orange concrete. Creating a three-dimensional rounded shape requires building outward and then curving back inward gradually. I am adding blocks layer by layer, stepping them in and out to suggest the curved surface of a real pineapple. Each side needs to mirror the other, so the pineapple looks symmetrical from all angles. Orange concrete is perfect for this because its smooth texture makes the curves look clean rather than bumpy and rough like some other materials would. Now, I am working on the side walls of my Spongebob house using orange concrete to maintain color consistency. The sides of a pineapple are just as curved as the front and back, so I need to continue that rounded shape all the way around. I am being very careful to capture the authentic pineapple form because that is what makes this build recognizable as the famous cartoon house. Every block placement matters when you are trying to create organic shapes with square blocks. The challenge is making something round out of something square, which requires patience and attention to how blocks create visual lines. The back of my pineapple house needs to be closed up now along with the top section. I am filling everything in with orange concrete, making sure there are no gaps or holes in the structure. The top of the pineapple narrows as it approaches where the leaves will go, just like a real fruit. I am stepping blocks inward gradually to create this tapering effect that leads up to the crown. A solid, complete structure is essential before adding details because you need the basic shape right first. I realized I was missing some of the brown diagonal stripes on my pineapple, so I am adding them now to the front. Consistency in patterns is important, so I am also building matching stripes on the back of the house. These brown lines break up the solid orange and add that authentic pineapple texture that makes the fruit so distinctive. The stripes need to follow the same diagonal angle all around the house, so they look like continuous lines wrapping around the pineapple shape. This takes some planning and careful block counting, but the result is worth the effort. Inside the house, I am building interior walls using orange concrete to match the exterior. Interior walls define different rooms and spaces within the home. For the floor, I am using acacia planks, which have a warm orange-brown color that complements the pineapple walls beautifully. Acacia is one of my favorite wood types because it has this rich tropical feeling that fits perfectly with the pineapple theme. Wood floors are also warmer and cozier than stone or concrete floors, which makes the interior feel more like a real home. At the entrance, I am placing a door so the house can be properly closed and secured. I've got half the time left. I'm kind of in time. On the right side of my pineapple, I am constructing a chimney using light gray and gray concrete blocks. 2 shades of gray create visual interest and make the chimney look more detailed and realistic. At the very top of the chimney, I am placing netherrack and setting it on fire. Netherrack burns forever, which creates a permanent flame effect at the chimney top. This suggests smoke and fire coming from inside the house, even though we are technically underwater. The eternal flame adds life and movement to the build which static blocks alone cannot provide. On top of the pineapple, I am now building the crown of leaves using lime wool blocks. The leaves are what make a pineapple look like a pineapple and not just an orange oval shape. I am creating multiple leaf shapes pointing upward and outward at different angles to look natural and organic. Lime wool has that perfect bright tropical green color that contrasts beautifully with the orange body below. The leaves need to be tall enough to be impressive, but not so tall that they look silly or out of proportion with the pineapple body. I am continuing to add more lime wool leaves to make the crown full and lush looking. Real pineapple crowns have many leaves clustered together, so I want to capture that dense tropical foliage feeling. Each leaf is built using a combination of regular blocks and stairs to create pointed tips that reach toward the sky. The stairs allow me to make the leaves look sharper and more natural than just stacking regular blocks would achieve. I am placing leaves around the entire crown so the pineapple looks good from every viewing angle, not just the front. Oh no, time flies so fast, I didn't even notice. It is time for furniture. Inside my pineapple house, I am placing a bed for sleeping with a television mounted on the opposite wall for entertainment. Even Spongebob needs to rest after a long day of working at the Krusty Krab. I am adding wardrobes for clothing and shoe storage because a proper home needs places to store belongings. Above the wardrobes, I am building a partial wall section to create visual separation between areas. On another side of the room, I am placing a comfortable sofa and hanging paintings on the walls for decoration. Art makes any room feel more personal and lived in. Anvils with leaf decorations add both function and natural beauty to the space. I am doing some additional wall work to make the interior feel more complete and cozy. Near the bed, I am placing armor stands and equipping them with full armor sets, which look impressive and show off gear collections. A brewing stand and cauldron filled with water provide potion-making capability for advanced gameplay. Bookshelves and an enchanting table create a study area where magical gear improvements can happen. I am adding even more books because knowledge is power. and Spongebob probably enjoys reading. On the floor, I am placing red carpets, which add warmth color and comfort to the wooden planks below. Above the entrance, I am installing more bookshelves to use vertical space efficiently. Last minute, I have to hurry. Outside, around the entire house, I am replacing the dirt ground with sand blocks to create that underwater beach environment. Sand is the natural ground cover at the bottom of the ocean where Bikini Bottom is located. The yellow sand complements the orange pineapple and creates a cohesive, tropical, underwater setting. Along the walls, I am placing flower pots on each side to add greenery and decoration to the exterior. Flower pots suggest that someone cares for this home and takes pride in its appearance. These small touches transform a simple build into a place that feels lived in and loved. In front of the entrance, I am creating a pathway using gravel and sand blocks mixed together. The combination of gray gravel and yellow sand creates an interesting textured path that looks natural and beachy. I am also placing stone buttons along the pathway as small decorative details. Buttons are tiny and subtle, but they add visual interest and break up flat surfaces. The finished pathway guides visitors from the surrounding area right to the front door of my Spongebob pineapple house. Great! My Spongebob house is ready! It's time for me to show it to the guys.
What?
Wow, JJ, you've got such a beautiful SpongeBob house. Did you really build it in just 15 minutes? It's so professional.
Thank you guys. I am very glad that you liked my building. Friends, be sure to write in the comments whose building you liked the most. Well, I think it's time for us to finish.
Yes, JJ, you're right.
Subscribe and like. Bye-bye.